From Luthans and Kreitner's book, Organizational Behavior Modification, provides a very systematic review of behavior modification techniques. They talk about the different kinds of consequences that we find in organizations that managers use that are available to leaders, the impact of these consequences, and how they impact work behavior. And one of the things that I like about this article, and I'll just forewarn you, it's kind of a slog. It's not the most interesting thing you'll read, but it has very thorough explanation. It has very useful tables. You can reference those tables. You should spend time making sure you understand the tables and for explaining different types of consequences in organizations. And so, again, look at those tables. Don't just let them kind of flow by. That's where you really want to spend some time in this article in reading over those tables. What I also want you to look for in understanding what the article is, how its role in the course is look at their explanation of the responses of individuals to different types of consequences. They go through and talk about the side effects of consequences. And those side effects have to do with the emotional response that people have, tend to have associated with different types of consequences, and the emotional responses to punishment. I'd also like you to pay real close attention to and start to understand the parallels between punishment and extinction. And extinction is no feedback. As we're going to talk about in the lectures, the most common feedback and consequence experience that people have in organizations is actually extinction. They have the experience is no feedback whatsoever. And it's very important to start to see the parallel with that of, no feedback is only slightly better than punishment. And why positive reinforcement is suggested. We kind of hear it over and over again, but what does that mean in practice? I also want you to pay particular attention to this notion of the schedule of reinforcement. There is an independent effect of the timing of reinforcement with respect to behavior. And there also is an important part about scheduling is that it's very rare in organizations that we have what we call a continuous schedule where every single behavior is rewarded. And in fact, every single behavior being rewarded leads to something called satiation. People get tired of the reinforcement. And so the component on scheduling actually turns out to be analytically extremely important to us, as well as a pretty important applied tool. We're going to refer to the scheduling over and over again. And then also look at what they're talking about in terms of the learning process. They're talking about how mixed strategies are used to shape behavior. Ultimately, what they're talking about is how do people learn through the feedback that they're given. This includes verbal feedback, monetary rewards, recognition, or all types of consequences we find in organizations, and how they're mixed together, how they're timed, the scheduling effect, what type are they, what is the kind of dominant type, are all factors that influence people's behavior in organizations. And very importantly, we're going to see that it also influences their perceptions of the organization. So pay attention to all of these kind of details and don't let them slip by you. And again, give some attention to the tables and make sure you understand these different characteristics of consequences and how they impact behavior.